After 43 years, Panda Express finally added General Tso's chicken to its menu, and the chain pulled out all the stops.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Woo Can Cook. My name is Wesley. For those of you who are new here, this is a cooking show where we are slowly making our way through all of the food from my childhood. Today I thought it would be fun to take a look at a dish from the Panda Express menu that briefly appeared in 2016, but then was mysteriously discontinued shortly after, which is their General Tso's chicken. Now Panda Express's General Tso's is a little bit atypical in a number of ways that we'll dive into today, mainly in its use of chicken breast instead of thigh and veggies, which you don't often find in General Tso's chicken. Since it's so unusual, I thought it would also be fun to do my own version of a General Tso's chicken that incorporates some Chinese ingredients that are common in traditional Chinese cooking, but not typically found in Chinese American food like General Tso's. Okay, so let's get into it. For the Panda Express version, I'm going to start by building out my base layer of umami with some crushed and minced garlic, followed by some finely minced ginger. Next, I'm large dicing half of a medium white onion. Remember to leave the root on your onion to make your dices easier, and then half of both yellow and red bell peppers. Then I'm going to blanch some green beans for about 10 minutes in boiling water until tender, then slicing those into thirds. I like to also remove the ends of my green beans too because they can be a little chewy, but feel free to skip this step if you're feeling lazy though. Next, I'm building out the sauce for my General Tso's. I'm starting with 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, followed by a 1/4 cup of water and 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. Then the 2 ingredients that are absolutely iconic in General Tso's, 4 tablespoons of hoisin sauce and 2 tablespoons of white sugar. Then I'm adding 2 tablespoons of cornstarch to thicken the sauce up and giving the whole mixture a stir until combined and everything is dissolved. Next, I'm moving on to my chicken. Now, Panda Express's General Tso's chicken, unlike its orange chicken, actually has a very thin breading, so I'm going with a very simple cornstarch breading with a pinch of kosher salt and black pepper. Then I'm flattening out some chicken breast and giving it a large dice, and then coating each piece in our cornstarch breading and setting it aside for our deep fry. Over on our stove, I have some vegetable oil heating up in my wok to 350 degrees F. Remember to buy a thermopen before you melt your meat thermometer. Then frying my chicken until golden brown for about 3 to 4 minutes. Then I'm pouring out my oil, giving my wok a wipe down, then adding back about 4 tablespoons of oil for frying. Remember to wok hay or heat your wok as hot as possible before adding your oil in, then blooming my garlic and ginger. Then I'm adding my chicken back to the wok, followed by my veggies, giving this all a quick toss, then adding my sauce mixture plus about a 1/4 cup of water, giving that all a quick toss, and then we're about ready to eat. This General Tso's is super flavorful, and I love the crunch that the veggies add since they only spent a pretty brief time in the wok. As I suspected, I do wish that the chicken breading was a little bit more crunchy, but on the other hand, I also think that the lighter breading is actually more similar to what you would find in a traditional Chinese deep fry, as with a hongxiao tofu or other braised sautés. On that note, this brings us to my second attempt at General Tso's, using a couple more traditional Chinese ingredients that you don't normally find in Chinese American cuisine. I'm starting again with some crushed and minced garlic and ginger for our base layer of umami, then slicing up some green onions. I'm going to set aside my greens for garnish later on, and then giving my whites a slightly larger slice so it holds together a bit in our wok fry. Moving on to our sauce, I'm starting with 4 tablespoons of soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. Then building out our traditional flavors, I'm using 2 tablespoons of Shaoxing cooking wine for a bit of acidity, plus 2 tablespoons of mirin for a bit of sweetness, 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, half a cup of chicken stock, and 2 tablespoons of Chinese black bean sauce. I also meant to add some brown sugar at this point, so if you're not forgetful like me, add this now as well. Then I'm thickening this up with some cornstarch, giving it all a quick stir until combined and setting it aside. Moving on to our chicken, I'm taking a few steps to help us get a crunchier deep fried chicken. For our breading, I'm going with equal parts flour and cornstarch, then adding a couple tablespoons of our sauce mixture. This is going to help us create some large bits and pieces of crunchy breading later on. Then I'm whisking up an egg for an egg bath, and we're about ready to bread our chicken. I'm using some chicken thigh this time for the dark meat and giving this a large dice and coating each piece in egg, followed by breading. As always, remember to wet hand, dry hand, or use one hand for egg wash and one hand for breading to prevent batter from building up on your fingers. Over on the stove, I'm going with the Kenji Lopez technique of double frying our chicken, which is going to help us get a crunchier breading. I'm dropping these into a 350 degree F deep fry for about 2 to 3 minutes, then removing and letting the chicken cool. Then I'm dropping them into our wok one more time for an additional 3 to 4 minutes until golden. You will find that the first par fry has eliminated moisture from your chicken, allowing it to become much more crunchy in its second fry. Next, I'm removing my fryer oil and adding back about 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil for frying. As always, wok hei. Then I'm blooming my garlic, ginger, and the whites of my green onions for about 30 seconds until fragrant and adding it to my sauce mixture. This is going to infuse our sauce with our aromatics, which will help amplify our umami profile quite a bit. Then I'm adding my chicken back to the wok, followed by my infused sauce, and giving this all a quick toss until combined. Here's the brown sugar I forgot earlier, and we're about ready to plate. I'm finishing this with the greens of our green onions, followed by some toasted sesame seeds for garnish as well. This version of General Tso's is probably one of my favorite fried chicken experiments of all time. The chicken is super crunchy, and the sauce has a flavor profile that feels really traditional for me and just sort of reminds me of eating Chinese food in the SF Richmond district when I was a kid. It's also definitely a lot less sweet than a more traditional General Tso's chicken, which I think helps support the level of umami that we have created. Okay, so that's it everyone. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you give one or both of these recipes a try. I know I used a few ingredients that are going to be a little bit hard to find for some folks, so if you have questions about ingredients or substitutions or just generally anything at all, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer everyone's questions. I don't know everything about General Tso's chicken, but I do know a little bit, so hopefully I can be helpful. Thanks for watching Woo Can Cook. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and just generally start pushing buttons, I guess. Hopefully not the dislike button.